Good evening to Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, good evening to all of the topical issues, the issues that are on the minds and the lips of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Those issues which are basically capturing the attention of the population. We know that we are in the throes of a local government election, albeit if you listen to some of the campaigns and what is being spoken of on some of the platforms, you would think that it is a general election. But it certainly is not that. But I think perhaps this local government election is attracting far more attention, far more excitement than what we would normally see for an election of this nature. So, well, by now you all should know the format of the program, where we try to bring in guests so that we can have a light on the various topics, the various issues that we need on the minds of citizens. So for the last couple of nights, we've had the pleasure of two ministers, the Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, and then last night we had Mr. Foster Cummings, the Minister of Youth Development and National Service, who would have shared with us quite a bit of information about what's happening in his ministry. So this evening, as promised, we have another live guest. For the more mature audience, members of the audience, you all she would certainly not be a stranger, but for the less mature, those of us who might have been born post 1980 and so on, you would have heard the name, but you may not be too familiar with her. But nevertheless, she's a legend in her own right in terms of the politics of Trinidad and Tobago and the sports of Trinidad and Tobago as well. So I'm speaking of none other than Miss Marilyn Gordon, former MP and former government minister. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Dominic.
And it is indeed a pleasure to have you with us. I know there are some people who are happy to see this face. Probably haven't seen it in a while, but...
Yeah, well.
Yes?
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I was looking at the Parliament channel recently, and they were running a feature where they would have done an interview with you about Dr. Williams. And so it was very insightful, actually.
Yeah.
But it's not every day you get an opportunity to speak to somebody who has had the privilege to work with Dr. Williams.
True.
What was that like?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was an excellent teacher and trainer. So, first of all, he had sent out his members of his cabinet to look for young professional women. In those days, I was young and I was professional.
Right.
And I got caught up in the thing, And having gone, I got called 9 o'clock in the morning and told by 2 o'clock I had to get some documents to them, and then by 5 o'clock I'd be sworn in to the Senate. And I did that. And this is a joke that I tell from time to time. So at 5 minutes to 2, hustling with the papers in hand. And he looks at Boise Pravat, who is the chairman of the party at the time, and he says, and Boise Pravat puts $20 in his sum.
Right.
And I says, sir, he says, I bet him that you will be the only person who will beat the deadline.
Right.
Okay, all right. So we smiled, and then he said, I know you don't drink until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I would like you to have a drink with me. Oh, well, if the Prime Minister tells you you want to have a drink with you.
Yes.
And he wanders off, and he comes back. And he hands me, in those days, everybody, there was the height of the boom and everything, and everybody was drinking scotch. But my friends and I were still drinking calmly. And he brings a glass and he hands it to me with the Coke. Mixed exactly how I drink it. And I thought, hey, this man been minding my business. But that was the beginning of a career change that taught me a lot of things about life.
Right.
Because he did teach you. I remember the first time I said to him, the first time I was meeting him really outside, after we were in, and I went and got sworn in and everything, at a convention. He says, young lady, come and sit down here and talk to me. So I said, okay, sir. So I said, well, the first question I'm asking is, so how you could sit down and listen to all that stupidness? Young lady, it is never stupidness. And I tell all the young people that I train, it's never stupidness. You see, it mightn't be related to the topic. It might seem to be way out on a limb, but it might bring the last piece of the puzzle of something you're trying to solve.
Right.
So I learned two things from Dr. Williams. Well, I learned lots of things, but two of the things I learned from Dr. Williams is you don't discount what anybody is saying.
Right.
You listen. And you give people the opportunity to talk to you. So from there on, my principle was, if you're prepared to wait, if you come to see me and you're prepared to wait, I will see you. I will not leave without seeing you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you end up at 1 o'clock in the morning just leaving the office.
Yeah.
But it has served me in good stead, you know? So, but it was a fantastic time. Because I was, at that time, I was one of five women in the parliament.
Right.
I was in the Senate, and we had three or four people in the House.
Okay.
And because he was directly targeting women to bring the women in, he had already established the Women's League of the PNM, which is still one of the engine rooms of the PNM. And those days it was much stronger than it is now.
Right.
So he challenged you. If you did a good job, he would tell you. Invariably, he would say, will you have a drink with me? And he exposed me to various things, right? So that by the time, after 2 years, I went to the parliamentary secretary. And after 2 years, I was made a minister.
Right.
At that time, I was the only female in the cabinet for a little time. And then the others came and he brought in the other woman because he had a little small riot on his hands. Because this little girl, where she come from. And we have been working here in this party and we do bacon shawl for the party. What she do?
Yes.
But we got over that, yeah. And but he sent me to all kinds of ministries, and I couldn't understand why. And later on, I recognized that what he was doing was giving me access so that I learned what the people were like in the previous ministries. So if in the future I needed to get anything done, I know I could pick up a phone and when I call X ministry and I talk to that person, I know them, they know me.
Right.
You know, and that is how you get things done in trend. I don't care what anybody says and how it's the wrong thing and all that. That is how you get things done. You call somebody, you tell them, could you help me do this? And you get it done. So I had a range of experiences. He sent me off to a UNESCO conference in Kenya with 3 days' notice per month when I had been in the parliament for 2 months.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And and I went and I didn't understand that when you go on these things, you could go online and so on. You said to a conference. I went to the conference every day.
Right.
But you learned. And we prepared the report on the way back. So by the time I reached back, the next morning, I presented the report. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And he brought out skills that you didn't even know you had. And he helped you to develop it. But most importantly, he was concerned about ordinary people. So the women, he would have women come to him every week to find out what people are saying in the marketplace,
Right.
what they're saying in the bars. The men will talk, they will know what is happening.
Yes.
So he was collecting information all the time, and with that breadth of information, they made two decisions.
Right.
They were much better, balanced decisions. But he wasn't too big for you to point out that something he wanted to do was not right.
Right.
And I really remember the first time I sat there in shock in a general council meeting because they wanted to introduce something for farmers up in Waterfield. And the fellow who was a farmer in Waterfield, older fella, got up and told him that was nonsense. It would not work. And carry on, carry on. And I'm looking and I'm seeing Dr. Williams sit talking. And then after the meeting, I saw he calling, and a fellow called Leo Ramos, he called him. And they went and they stood up behind the chair in Bally's house, and they talked and talked and talked. And the next general council meeting, he had modified it is that connection, that always listening and putting the information out there for the members of the party in the first instance.
Right.
He used them as a sounding board, and then when he got that feedback, he would proceed. And we've lost some of that, but I'm hoping that we get back to it because that is at the base of the People's National Movement.
Right.
Yeah, that commitment to service on the one hand, which was what you had to do.
Right.
One, and in touch with the ground, with the people on the ground, to understand and to work to make sure that their needs were fulfilled.
Right.
And that's why he could stay in office for 30 years. We had to learn some of those things. We have to go back to some of those things, in my view.
Right.
There are some things that we not doing them well, you know?
Right.
And that connection with people, ordinary people, is integral to keeping your political life.
Right.
Yeah? Once you learn that lesson,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
But you would have seen the evolution of the political landscape in Trinidad and Tobago over the years, and of course, inclusive of the PNM.
Yeah.
Do you think the PNM has remained true to the original principles of that Dr. Williams would have espoused? Because you would have mentioned just now his care for people, but yet still there's a narrative out there that talks about, makes the implication that perhaps Dr. Williams was in the back pocket of the elite and these sort of things, and the oil money went to a certain class of persons and all of these different things. We hear the narrative about the 1970s and the Black Power, and he didn't care. Tell us a little bit about that.
Dr. Williams cared more for the people of this country than he cared for himself.
Right.
Now, people keep talking this nonsense. I'm concerned. It is rubbish. That the oil money went to particular pockets and so. That is not true. I remember as a youngster traveling on the train and seeing what is now called VIII Gardens,
Yes.
which was a set of shacks, so-called shanty town.
Right.
And men got a back pay. The port workers got a back pay. And men, I mean, I was fascinated. I still remember it like it happened yesterday. They had to take the whole front wall of the house. It's ply.
Right.
It's ply and galvanized. Or galvanized and galvanized.
Right.
That depends. They had to take the whole thing out to put the fridge that the man bought with his back pay.
Right.
Yeah? So every single person in this country benefited from the oil money. Every single person. Some people made a lot of money, drank Johnny Walker Black. We had gone from drinking rum, Johnny Walker Black, champagne, fancy drinks, cocktails, and so on.
Right.
And when they died, they didn't have enough money to bury themselves, to be buried. People had to put up to bury.
Yeah.
Yeah? But they had the opportunity. They had made money. And whether it was increasing the number of children who went to secondary school. Let's start off with the primary school. In 1980, 79, I think it was, 79, 78, 79, I was sent off to the Commonwealth Ministers of Education. I wasn't a minister. I was a parliamentary secretary in the ministry. And I was sent off to Ghana. I'd gone to Kenya in November for that year. And then in February the next year, February, March, I was sent off to represent the minister in the Commonwealth Ministers of Education. When I got up and I spoke, well, to begin with, even there, I was kind of a lone person, the only female among all those ministers. And when I got up and I spoke about Trinidad and Tobago having already attained the goal of free, universal, that is everybody,
Yes.
primary education. And we were working towards the goal of free, universal secondary education. At that time, we were putting in probably half that cohort into secondary schools. And after I was finished making the speech and I came down, Minister of Education come to see me. Right? And I also pointed out at that point that our tech voc professionals were down in Australia helping them to set up their tech voc. We had already set up tech vocs because remember we moved and the junior sec into the senior comprehensive. We had put tech voc in there so that the kids would find something that they could do and do well. But in the secondary stream. So we were training that. And all people, Albert Allen, and Allen was one of the fellows, were down in Australia because they hadn't set up theirs yet.
Right.
Okay? They were now setting up. And after that, well, I mean, you know, I had to talk to plenty of people.
Right.
Because they were asking questions. Oh, yeah, the Jamaicans couldn't understand it. What do you mean? They were struggling to get their children into primary. They didn't have universal primary education.
Right.
You notice I didn't say free.
Yes.
They didn't have universal primary education. But we had already achieved that. And how did we achieve that? When Dr. Williams said that all people, all children under the age of 15 had to be in school, primary school. And you could go in primary school up to school leaving.
Right.
But when a child came out of school leaving in those days, right, they almost as though they came out of secondary
yes.
with the O levels, right?
Right.
Okay. So we did that. He sent inspectors out into the rural areas to make sure that the children, all the children, from whichever area, it didn't matter what ethnicity, all children had to go in before that.
Yeah.
A lot of the young girls did not go to school. Or if they went to school, they went to school for just a short period.
Right.
So that in 1976, 77, 78, yeah, although our literacy rate was one of the highest in the world, we still had this cohort of older people who had not, who were not literate.
Right.
Yeah, and they still had to sign with the X or the
Yes.
something. So we did that. So you could tell me you didn't get anything. How do you think we did that? Don't we do all money? How are you going to tell me that? And the principle was If you give the child education, then they're going to be able to grow and climb and make people themselves. Yeah?
Future of the nation is
In the
children.
movement, in the child. Right? So, I sometimes I get a little upset
Yes, understandable.
when I hear this stupid talk.
Coming from people who weren't there.
Or even if they were there, they will deny it.
Yes.
Because they don't want you to feel that the parent did anything for them.
Yes.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
But you're trying to get me on a soapbox. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. All the young people know how to rile me up.
Right. And you, having served as a minister of education, of course, would be intimately aware of what were the different policies that PNM would have put in place.
Yeah.
Having been part of
Yeah. But that's my shortest stint as a minister. No. But again, there were so many other things he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the first woman go into the regiment, into the defense force.
Right.
We changed the laws so that women could if they put their money into the family property before, it was only the men. It could only be in a man's name.
Oh, okay.
We changed that.
Right.
So you had a share in the property. We changed this arrangement where the man dies. He's been living with you for 20 years, but you're not entitled to get anything.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
Worse if he had a wife at some point and he leave her. So we changed the laws to make sure. And those were kinds of things that I used to get. You're the only woman. But I remember complaining once. I said, so why is it always me? I'm telling her. And he said, because you're the only woman.
Right.
Here. And somebody has to bring the voice of woman. And I say, well, my voice is not quite like the woman. You hear how heavy it is.
Yeah.
And we laugh. But it was a direct plan to bring the woman forward.
Right.
Move the woman forward. So you do it in the politics, you do it in the schools, you do it wherever. I think the woman in the thing just celebrated the first woman 50 years in the regiment. Yeah?
Yes.
And I was so pleased to see that one of the senior officers was female.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's where we reached. But then when you look around, look everywhere.
Yeah.
You notice all of a sudden, it's not all of a sudden,
Yes.
but it now becomes very clear and noticeable that the women have risen in all fields, every field. You talk about it, they're doing it. I mean, see somebody doing some electrical engineering, this one doing whatever, doing research, being honored for the research they're doing in these fields that I didn't even know existed. So it's that 30-year period. We transformed this face of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? A lot of the housing developments, the older housing developments were built there. Today, almost all the housing developments, major housing developments in this country, were built by the PNM.
Right.
So, I get a little upset when you tell me stupidness, but and the PNM and do the thing for we. There. All you have to do is access it.
Yes.
They tell you, but we don't not telling them as well as we should tell them now.
Right.
But we can change that soon. But it is available.
Right.
Yeah? And if you get free education, 10 years of free education, and you don't do something with it, don't blame me.
Yes.
Don't blame the government. Blame yourself, tell your father and your mother that they didn't serve you well.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
Don't blame the politician. Because in this country, you blame the politician for everything. You don't want them to have the authority to make the changes. Eh?
Yeah.
You don't want them. But you're making noise because they're responsible.
Yeah.
You know? I just think of national security.
Yes. Well, at that juncture, we take our first break for the evening. Folks, so we are having our discussion this evening with Marilyn Gordon. So stay locked and we will be back shortly. Then we continue the discussion as we get into topic of, so we do the compare and contrast. Politics back when she was involved and politics today. So stay locked, we'll be back in a short show.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Realtor Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saeed, Managing Director of Realtor Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors, roti makers. Try Chic Leisha high quality, unbleached, bromate free, all purpose and whole wheat flour. Bleached flour and bromate flour is treated with chemicals that can cause cancer, and this is banned in Europe and many other countries. Chic Leisha flour offers a healthier option, being that it's unbleached and bromate free. It also has a finer grain and a softer texture, lower priced and conveniently packaged in 2 pound, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. Available at groceries and supermarkets. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Chic Leisha Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit them at Warrenville, Canupia. Chic Leisha Limited. Quality you can trust.
The Solid Agency, the standard for artiste management and development. Booking for an exclusive roster of the region's top-rated entertainers. The Solid Agency, the standard for event execution live and virtual, including fully loaded Shaggy and Friends, New York, Nigeria, and Antigua music festivals, Burgess Long Walk to Freedom, Bounty, Beanie Versus, to name a few. Make your career or your event solid. Contact us now, thesolidagency@gmail.com. Call 1-876-469-4005. Visit solidagency.com.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to SynergyTV, and you're tuned into the real issues with yours truly, Dominic Romain. And if you're just joining us, our guest this evening is none other than Marilyn Gordon, former MP, former government minister under the Eric Williams administration and then the George Chambers administration. We're discussing politics in general, politics of yesterday, politics of today, and dispelling some of the notions that are out there, some of the myths, some of the narratives with respect to role that PNM would have played in the development of Trinidad and Tobago over the years, some of the misconceptions concerning Dr. Williams that influences or speaks to some of the narratives that currently exist. So she has a wealth of information, and so this evening we're seeking to tap into that a little bit. So, Ms. Gordon, one of the statements, perhaps the biggest statement for which Dr. Williams has been vilified, the recalcitrant minority. Yes.
Yes. And
has that been the way in which that statement has been couched has been something that Dr. Williams was being racist when is that an accurate depiction?
no, it is not. He was repeating what Nehru had said about people in the society, Indian society, who were opposing, basically for the sake of opposing,
Right.
and who weren't prepared to take a look and take a rational approach to whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah? That is what he was talking about. Yeah? He wasn't being racist.
Yeah.
If he was being, if Dr. Williams and the PNM was racist, we would never have a female prime minister,
Yeah.
an Indian prime minister.
Right.
Right? So you will not go to school.
Right.
Yeah? As simple as that.
Yes.
Right? One of the things that the PNM made sure that it did was to make sure that everybody got access to the pie. Yeah? Now, some people made better use
Yes.
of the access to the pie. Don't blame me and don't blame the PNM if you sat down in your house and you didn't get up and go and take advantage of what was available. People took advantage of what was available and they were able to transform themselves from peasant to business tycoon. Yeah.
Yes.
Because of what the PNM put in place. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw the subsidies for agriculture, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that people were making all this noise about the government neglecting agriculture and the PNM not concerned about farming and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah? Farmers who are not paying, they still don't pay tax on their earnings and the farming. You got a subsidy if you're going to till the soil. You get a subsidy when you're going to plant the soil. You get a subsidy when you cut the get a subsidy to buy the vehicle. Yeah?
Right.
Half of the SUVs and 4x4 that you're seeing men driving, they got a subsidy to do that.
Right.
Because you're a farmer. And you come and telling me about and we discriminate against you, give me a chance. Give me a break. But I think that people, a lot of people, especially those that look like me, need to open their eyes and get into the program.
Yes.
Because it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. I couldn't reach where I reach without accessing. In my day, 100 exhibitions. 100. Yeah?
Yeah.
And you had to win our exhibition to go to high school.
Right.
And then you got $12.50 as your allowance.
Right.
But it bought your books because you would buy second-hand books.
Right.
Yeah? So you sold your books and then you bought the next set of books. Right? Why are you telling me nonsense? It was the opportunity was there for everybody. Now it's only 100 people. Today, 100 started by the PNM. Incrementally, we got to the stage where when I was Minister of Education, we were given like 15,000 students who were going into secondary school free. That was almost the whole cohort of children on that age, right? And if you couldn't get into the secondary school because you weren't so bright, you had the trade centers, you had the youth camps, which produced some of the best tradesmen that the world has ever seen. I ain't talking about Trinidad. They were getting top dollar. The Americans were coming and poaching them and giving them top dollar to come to the United States to do what they learned to do here. Right? Provided all those trade centers and youth camps. Put part of the program. When you go and you break them, you shut them down. And then tell them it's stupidness about boys being criminal and it's this and that. That is the reason why you're having problems. That is the base of why you're having problems. Because they don't have a place. When you talk to those youth camp and trade school graduates, and they tell you about the discipline that they had, that was instilled in them, yeah, it made a difference. And then when they come out now, they're not going to encourage or be encouraged by anybody to go into to go and do foolishness. Yeah? And they're going to encourage their peers. And he did the same thing in sport. Yeah? But I don't know. Sometimes I despair. Because why are we kind of literally killing ourselves? with this, with all these narratives, and the PNM, they were like, black people, and they didn't do nothing for black people, and they didn't do it. We did for everybody. It was all there. We didn't say you can't get, right?
Right.
I remember recently, maybe 8-10 years ago, listening to a vehicle going through the neighborhood. I was living in Hermitage Road at the time, going through the neighborhood, begging young people to go to register. And the fellow laughing and saying, hey, that's hard work, I'm going to do that. And nobody went up to them and said, hey, you gotta go. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's where we are falling now. We have allowed the younger people to do what they want, whether it was in their best interest or not. Yeah? And we can't run a society like that.
Right.
If you are living in my house and I'm feeding you and clothing you, you can't cuss me, you can't beat me, you will follow the rules of this house.
Right.
Or else you go else. Yeah? And that used to be the principle of all the mothers in my time. My mother, me as a parent, that was the principle they teach us. And that made the difference. Right. Yeah? Because remember, I hear them talking about single mothers and single mothers. We always had single mothers, some slavery, right? With a deliberate plan to take the men away and leave the woman to struggle by herself. Yeah?
Yeah.
But we survived it. And we brought the traditions down to make sure that the boys did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And I particularly remember a woman called Muriel Mitchell. She was about nearly 6 foot tall. She lived up at the top of Lamantul there by St. Barb's. She was the counselor for the area at one time. You can play the fool up by there. You know? When Miss Mitchell tells you, young man, come, you have to go and do so and so and so and so and so. No argument. You go and you do it. Right? Now, by the same token, she would make sure that you ate. That's how it works. So all this nonsense, I get upset. I really do. I get upset.
Yeah.
Because we are losing our precious resources to people with, as Dr. Roddy put it, building their criminal business and using these guys as pawns. But that too will go away, I'm sure.
Compare and contrast politics in your day as compared to politics today. How do you feel about that? And especially as we're discussing the issue of women in politics. We had our first female prime minister.
Yeah.
There were many who held out hope that, perhaps the novelty of having the first female prime minister would have yielded, significant fruit. That didn't happen. That didn't pan out. And now we see some of the PNM is held to a higher standard. And we see that in the quality of women who represent the party, our standard bearers, even in the local government election. Now we have a significant cohort of female candidates.
Young females.
Compared to some of what we see on the other side. I'm not going to deny, they probably have some good candidates over on that side. But when we listen to the rhetoric that comes from the leader of the opposition and some of the frontline women in the UNC, the likes of JUL and Khadija Amin and Jayanti Lakshmiyal, how do you feel as a woman seeing these politics that you're supposed to when you were actively involved?
I can't quite defend give you the explanation on the TV, right? You will lose your job.
Yeah.
Let us put it this way, put it nicely. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because they have been given greater opportunities. They have been given better training.
Right.
Yeah? They have the opportunity now to continue to improve the society. No matter what anybody says, the saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world is a fact.
Yes.
But they don't rock in the cradle. They pitching the cradle down, cussing everybody. And I listen to some of them, I wonder how they could sleep at night.
Right.
Because you have a responsibility to this society, man. This society has nurtured you. You have been the beneficiary of all the society has to offer. Yeah? You have a degree, you have 2 degrees, you have 3 degrees. And all you can be spouting is the kind of nonsense and not holding people responsible. And I mean, you know, Lord, they're trying to get me in trouble.
When we have comments like, Ganga Singh drop pipe, and more pipe, and the only pipe I know is Dr. Visa's pipe, but I can't tell all the size of the pipe because I didn't see it yet. And you are the Minister of Education on a platform saying these things.
And then you wonder why the young people behave how they behave. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because at the end of the day, the young people, they absorb things like sponges. And then when you squeeze it,
yes,
it will come back out. So why do you have to do that?
Right.
Yeah? But then, I think she might have been the worst Minister of Education, in fact. If you look at the things that happened under her watching education,
right,
she shouldn't be able to walk the streets of this country. Yeah?
Yeah.
You say you want to give everybody free education, you put them in a warehouse, you didn't even put proper air conditioning, you didn't put in any of the remedial teaching, learning that had to go on.
Right.
You didn't put any of that. And then when you finish your bill of place and move on, you throw them up there.
Right.
And then you tell me we're criminals. But anyway, I believe in karma. And I believe that there's a being, some kind of being that
Right.
runs this universe. And you always reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say on that.
Right. I mean, as a former, but you would have seen a short stint as Minister of Education.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of looking at curriculum development, and let's look at it from the perspective of, which is one of the issues that the former People's Partnership tend to boast about, the laptops, where it is that they would have given laptops to 95,000 students or something like that across the board, different schools and so on. But the curriculum was not developed to incorporate the use of the laptops in school. So you gave them laptops, but there was no practical use in the classroom because it was not facilitated in the curriculum. So really, the students would only use the laptops recess, lunchtime, and when they go home.
I'll tell you my experience with these laptops. My grandson was in school. And he and 2 of his friends, I would give them, they were in Trinity.
Right.
So I would drop them in the morning. They would sit down in the back and I'm driving. He would be in the front, 2 of them in the back or whatever. The second week of the laptop, after they got the laptops, one of the fellas telling Amani, you know what you have to do? He learned how to bypass the administrator to get.
Right.
And he was going to look at porn on the laptop.
Right.
Because there had no Wi-Fi in the school. They didn't have enough Wi-Fi to run the laptops.
Yeah.
So what's the point of giving him a laptop? And I know for a fact that the laptop my grandson got, he was taking good care of it because it is a laptop.
Yeah.
And within the year, I had to take it to get repaired.
Right.
And 6 months after that, it crashed. Full stop. You couldn't do anything with it. You couldn't fix it.
Right.
He wasn't doing anything incorrect with the laptop, right? Because when he come home, I tell him, okay, you have to go to a site and he will do his research and all that, right? And well behaved young man. So what you tell him about laptop, I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
right? And by the same token, those children who didn't have any Wi-Fi home and who didn't have any parents who knew anything about
Supervision.
they didn't even know about the laptop, how to open it.
Right.
Yeah? So what?
Yeah.
So I would like to know where those relics are.
Yeah.
Because they weren't fit for purpose to start with.
Yeah.
And then it didn't fit the curriculum. And you didn't train the teachers.
So we see for what it is. It's
Yeah.
just a gimmick.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. And then we didn't give them, we didn't give the children laptops. No, we didn't give them.
It wasn't even means tested because you would have had students who didn't need it.
Of
Would have
course.
had laptops and home tablets.
Of
and so on.
course. Of course. Of course.
So clearly it was not a well thought out plan. But it was just something that to say we did this. I remember one time Pastor Pandey, when he was Prime Minister, made the point that if you want to treat with the issue of when you leave office, they say where the money went. Just build stuff. So afterwards you could go and point and say, well, I build this, I build that, I build that. But in terms of, as you say, fit for purpose.
But if you built it and you built it at an inflated cost, I helping us either.
Correct. But there are those who will look at these things and see, okay, yes, they built all of that. But on the back end, what did it cost the population in terms of the level of corruption with cost overruns and bid rigging and all of these different things?
Yep.
You have the Piaco Airport, prime example.
Well,
Massive corruption.
I am so happy that the matter was determined in the United States.
Yes.
Because we're still running around playing down here, right? And I was being told, we'll make your own SWAS and we'll lock up nobody. Those who before the court now,
Yes.
you're not hearing about them either.
Right.
But that's today's politics. Yeah. Nowadays, we didn't have that one.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They refer to Johnny O'Halloran and Francis Privat. Full stop. That's all they could tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah? And we got back money from Johnny O'Halloran. Good. Francis Privat didn't have anything to show for it.
Right.
So I don't know that he got any money.
I always hear that talk about O'Halloran. So those of us who would have been born in the 80s come forward and who hear about this, so we know what was the issue with Privat. I never hear any of the specifics. It's always they mention the names whenever they have to talk about P&M corruption. But O'Halloran and Privat and Kati said all are we thief, but context again.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
What I remember some of my friends being upset because she said, "Oh, we thief," right? I just said, I said, so remember you didn't go to work yesterday and you get paid?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what he was referring to.
Right.
If you were getting paid from the public purse and you only give half day work 3 times a week, you're thieving money. That's simple as that.
Yes.
But it's convenient, just convenient.
But there's this narrative that Dr. Williams condoned corruption.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. People used to call it getting put in the doghouse when you did things that were not
Right.
in line with what he expected.
Right.
Yeah? He didn't condone any corruption. Or no big set of corruption. Some people make some money. It was significant that in 1986 when we lost the election, most of us didn't have a job. People didn't want to employ us.
Right. Former Parliament, P&M Parliament.
Yeah. They didn't want to employ you. And they didn't have no money to bring from anywhere to feed the family.
Yeah.
So we had to go and look for work.
Right.
Yeah, I ended up going to sell insurance. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of my friends came home and said to me, "You see how you're stupid? Look, you ain't even have a free bottle of scotch for you to take a drink."
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was how most of us lived. You know, you went in, you might have been able to get a loan to fix your house or to buy, but you paid for it. You didn't get it free. So but it is convenient for people who are corrupt to accuse everybody else of corruption because they don't understand that people could be doing the work for service. You know?
Yeah.
My greatest satisfaction is seeing things that I've done,
Right.
seeing young people that I've taught who meet me that look older than me, but they meet me to tell me, "Miss, you remember?"
Yeah.
Yeah?
Right.
I could.
Right.
But if you are corrupt, you expect everybody else to be like you. And you have to hold on to that. Because if you don't, then you are accepting that what you're doing is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah?
So to satiate conscience, you have to believe it's par for the course. So regardless of who is in power,
Yeah.
there is an expectation on the part of a significant portion of the population, I would think, feel all politicians thief.
Well, yeah, I remember a woman telling me, "You know you're stupid." I say, "Yeah, well, what do you know?" She said, "You're listening and you don't achieve nothing." We were on the highway.
Yeah.
I stopped my car till I get out. She said, "What happened?" I said, "Get out.
Yeah.
You vexed me because I ain't thief. Get out of my car."
Right.
But and I get upset because people keep making these broad statements. Politicians are thieves. Politicians don't do this. Politicians don't help nobody. And the number of people who would not be alive if politicians didn't help them.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. I'm at an age now where, I leave it be.
Right.
Can't afford to
Yes.
upset myself too much.
So we go to our second break for the evening. And then we continue the discussion when we come back on the other side of 9 o'clock. So stay locked, you're tuned into the real issues with Dominic Romain and our guest this evening, of course, Miss Marilyn.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle from the first restaurant in 1968 when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the Castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you. And is the real flavor of TNT.
A warm welcome awaits you at Alicia's Palace, a hotel nested in the quiet hills of Lady Chancellor at 1 3/4 mile mark just above the Emperor Valley Zoo. Alicia's Palace is a perfect place to combine pleasure and business. A 24-hour facility with full amenities, including air-conditioned rooms with Wi-Fi, mini-fridge, microwave, and cable TV. Designed to provide you with quiet comfort and convenience. The perfect staycation location where you can swim in the outdoor pool, soak in the jacuzzi, or simply soak up the sun, all at an affordable price. Relax and enjoy local dishes in an eco-friendly environment. At Alicia's Palace, they conduct steam cleaning of all rooms and common areas in keeping with current health and safety protocols. Whether it's a special occasion or simply just to get away, Alicia's Palace combines affordability and quality service. For more details, check out their Facebook page, Alicia's Palace HQ, or give them a call at 621-1017 or 624-8553.
If you're planning an event, make us your first option. At Reality of a Dream, we can make your event memorable. We can assist in planning your corporate functions, moderate gatherings, family occasions, christenings, and more. We also cater for weddings and other special occasions. Our newly renovated venue includes a majestic entryway, which takes you along a path to a fantastic indoor facility, which can accommodate up to 80 dining guests. A recently completed, fully air-conditioned, beautifully designed wing, which maintains the theme and flow of Reality of a Dream, adds 30 extra seats for dining guests. In total, we can now seat a total of 110 dining guests. Come see for yourself the splendor that awaits you. Walk along the path and make your way to the breathtaking, well-maintained swimming pool and gazebo, and also the entire grounds of Reality of a Dream. We've also updated the Dream Suite, which comes with all modern conveniences, where guests can enjoy the feeling of an exquisite retreat overlooking the entire area. Reality of a Dream caters to professional events. We provide secure parking for guests, so call us at 332-6880 and ask for Harriet, located at number 15 Moses Avenue, San Juan. Reality of a Dream, making dreams come true every day.
Welcome back. You're tuned into the Real Issues with Dominic Romain. Of course, the latest, talk show on the airwaves where we try to discuss the issues that are topical, the issues that, as we say, occupying the minds and lips of the citizens. So we try to provide you as much as possible with guests, live guests who can, who have in-depth knowledge or intimate experience with some of the issues that we would be discussing. Of course, we have as our guest this evening none other than Ms. Marilyn Gordon, former MP, former government minister, sharing her thoughts on politics of yesteryear, politics of today, and the other issues, because we are in the throes of a local government election, and I know that this is one of the issues that is a most pressing one for Ms. Gordon. So we were just having a discussion off air, and she's sharing some of her thoughts, which we will now present to you. So Ms. Gordon, the local government election, in particular, the reform agenda. What are your thoughts on that? And let's try to juxtapose it. Local government in your day, local government today. Yeah.
That this change will make, once we implement it, will make a significant change and improvement in the society.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you are saying to people, you're living in this area, your property tax is going to be collected by the corporation in your area to be used in your area. So it's not going to go Win Tonapuna,
Right.
it's not going to go to Caroni or Sandy Gandhi. And the people will have the opportunity to get involved in determining what happens in your area.
Right.
Good? So you go in, they have their town meeting or they have the statutory meeting or whatever, and invite the members of the population to come in and determine, probably vote on what it is you want to see. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, that is going to do a series of things, right? It's going to make sure that, one, once you pay your taxes, it's going to be spent to make your life and your community life better. Because you can't come now and tell me you collected $10 million in taxes for this month.
Yeah.
But you can't spend any of that money to make sure that the drain that is causing a whole set of problems. You're going to prioritize and all that, but it is going to do that.
Right.
So once you are a citizen who is aware and interested in your community, you have the opportunity to have an input in what happens. And it frees up the minister, the member of parliament, from running up and down to make sure that these things are done.
Right.
He don't have to call the councillor now, right? You working full time to do this,
Yes.
and your population who elected you will hold you responsible.
Yes.
Right? So it requires us to have a different level of involvement, and I'm hoping that the population will understand their role as well as the councillor. I can see people calling the councillor at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Just say the drain giving shower.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'll advise your councillors offline how to deal with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
A man call you 1 o'clock in the morning, you fix it.
Yeah.
And then you call him back
Right.
every morning at 1 o'clock to find out if it's fixed.
Yes. Yes.
A week.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, seriously. So it is requiring the population to mature and take responsibility for their community. And that will bring us back to what we used to be.
Right.
Which is, in your community, in my day, the community drove things.
Right.
Yeah? You go to the councillor, you go to the member of parliament, you tell them this is why we have a problem here and here and here, and you have to fix it. And sometimes the community would get together and help fix it.
Right.
We have to do that. It's our place, it's our children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren that have to live here. And we need to leave the place in a better space.
Yes.
And we've neglected, and I'm talking about this is in the world now, we've neglected the things that we should have done.
Right.
So the climate change is now teaching us a good lesson.
Correct.
So you can't blame anybody about it now. What you have to do is fix it. And we have to have that kind of can do, must do mentality to help us. So what will happen, what you will see happening is some communities where they're well organized, concerned and so on, going to go ahead because they have the money, they have the councillor, the councillor are going to have to listen to them because they voted for you.
Right.
Yeah? So it's going to change the dynamics in the country. And if we do it well, then we're going to clear again. Because as it is, even now, we have gone clear.
Yes.
When you compare other islands, you compare, I was talking to somebody today about Guyana, right?
Yeah.
We're way ahead of them, right? And they're looking at us and saying, but why those people in China not getting on so well?
Yes. Because there is property tax in Ghana.
There's property tax everywhere.
Yes.
There's property tax everywhere.
In Barbados.
And the people who are making the greatest noise about property tax here paying the property tax in Fort Lauderdale and Miami and Amsterdam and wherever.
Yeah. But to that point, you know, Ms. Gordon, and perhaps I could tie it back to, I get another narrative that is out there, that because of all of the things that Dr. Williams would have done, perhaps cabinet of which you were a part, is that you all would have attempted to do so much for the citizens. And as you would have mentioned, the use of the oil money, the oil boom that they love to talk about, the PNM went through 2 oil booms and it passed through the country like a dose of salt. Is that because of so many things that were put in place for the citizens to benefit. There is a view now that that may have created a situation where people became dependent on the government. And so now they expect, there's an expectation that the government is supposed to do this and the government is supposed to do that.
But I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that narrative. What the PNM did in the early years was to provide platforms to help people along.
Yes.
Right? Some people, as I said earlier, some people grabbed the opportunities. Some people sat down and waited. we only talk about politicians doing things in this country. We don't talk about the other leaders. What about the religious leaders? Right?
Yes.
What about the trade unions? You think those fellows haven't seen how the world is moving? That money is getting scarce? That, yes, you're living on 2014 money, but your 2014 money is more than everybody else updating who getting 2020 money. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I reject this whole talk. I think that people must not hide behind that kind of rubbish.
Right.
Right? You were given opportunities. If you didn't you make use of it then, try and make sure you try and make use of it now.
Yeah.
We transformed this country in that 30-year period. Yeah?
Yeah.
We went from people living in barracks and whether it was in town or in the country, and our jupas with thatched roofs. Yeah?
Yeah.
You went down the highway to Shagwana Street, something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you notice on the western side, the I call them the Florida new houses. Yeah?
Yes.
On that side.
Right.
Huge buildings. And then on the eastern side, bigger buildings. I saw a warehouse this morning, and I'm looking at it. It has to be 250 feet long, right?
Right.
By about nearly 100 feet wide. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Good. And you're telling me that, what you telling me? Things are good here.
Yeah.
So let's not fly in the face of the Lord. Now you might get vexed one day.
Yeah.
And just wipe us off the face of the earth because we're ungrateful. True. I have a problem. And I'm thinking, why do we feel the need to mash up things
Yes.
as opposed to build on it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You all start to build. Clyde Harvey said to me to us a long time ago, said, you all have laid the foundation. He was talking about the party. Now you have to let the young people build the walls. And then their children will put the roof on.
Right. Yeah.
Generations building on what you're doing. That's what we have been thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah? And these jokers that on my TV and the radio all the time spewing this nonsense need to be banned. Put out of the country, send them somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, if it's so bad here, leave now. Oh God, bump the road now. Go by mayor.
You mentioned just now community involvement in the politics. I mean, if we look at it from the local government perspective, so you mentioned where persons have the wherewithal to go to council when they have their statutory meetings. You could sit in and listen to the debate of your councillor to see if really they are representing your interest, or they come in and just giving you a 6 for 9. And yes, I raised the issue, but you have an opportunity. But how many of us actually take up that opportunity? We think we vote and you get into power and I expect you to do this. And I just come to you, I tell you, and that's the end of my involvement.
And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You need to continue. Not just to harass the person and say, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
How can you put a hand to help move this from this point to that point?
Yeah.
That's where we have to go. That's how the community used to be. That is how they build the self-help houses and move on.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And today there are some places where they're doing the same thing again.
Right.
All of us get together and we help you to build your house, and then everybody come and help me to build a house.
Right.
And so, yeah?
Yeah.
That's where this encouraging people, and at this point, I follow the politicians.
Yeah.
Because you're encouraging people to break the law, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you do it. Instead of saying, no, that is not how you do it. All of us have to work together. But then if you will say, you put in country before party. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go through the rest of it. But if you're going to have that kind of mindset, then you should not be leading anybody anywhere because you're leading them down a garden path to kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to this local government election because I believe, like Dr. Rowley, that the good people of this country outnumber the quiet and they outnumber the foolish.
Yeah.
And I hope that we see that in the local government election because this is going to change the face of Trinidad and Tobago, good or bad. So if you don't support it, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
If you support it, then we're on the right track and we're going.
Yeah.
And the next generation will have a better life. That's my position.
When we speak to the issue of country before party, and I think it's unfortunate that the whole local government reform agenda is not being spoken of more on the platform. While you're more likely to hear it, the granular details discussed on a PNM platform, even so, you find there are instances where the speakers, unfortunately, are unable to devote as much time as they would like to speaking to the specifics because you have to treat with things that are being said on the other side that are incorrect, and you have to address these things when the focus should really be on this is what you can expect to see after August the 14th, the devolution of power, where you have an executive council who will have the authority to do things that right now they require permission from Kent House. Things that would normally take 3 to 6 months to get approval from Kent House could be done in-house with the executive council, and all of these things going to speed up the delivery of service, and all of the bureaucracy is going to be reduced. But again, these things are not being well. Let me not say it's not being discussed. It is being mentioned. It's being.
But it's get overshadowed.
Yes.
And we're not helped by reporting that does not capture that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So in a lot of ways, I mean, I just take a case in point. This morning in one newspaper, the big story is vendors get pushed out to the savannah.
Yeah.
But even before 6 o'clock yesterday, the vendors were on the radio saying, we have resolved the matter.
Yes.
So why you put that in here? You know?
Yeah.
If you're trying to start a revolution, I just have one thing to tell you. When you have a revolution, a lot of people get killed. A lot of places get firebombed. And you see that those narratives that upset people, they will come for you too.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Right.
Because it is unfortunate. Because in the past, our press, they were yes, they were anti-PNM, some of them.
Right.
But they will fear in the reporting. Yeah?
Yes.
So a reporter will make sure he checks 3 or 4 sources before he writes a story.
Yes.
Now, you just send them something and they print and adjust it. They ain't bother to check.
Case in point, yesterday, where they claimed that Dennis Plummer had passed away.
Well,
Express reported that online.
I saw a commenter that I laughed so hard. Person says, well, she's a good company. The Express is just doing what it normally does. They kill Stalin. And I just shook my head and said, shouldn't you again, boy? Yeah.
Yes.
Carnival Tuesday, they kill Peter Angel.
Yes.
That I suppose is because we laugh that they get on and they continue with it.
Right.
But, you know, I would have thought with all the training in mass communication, it's quick to tell you about the degree they have and the diploma they have. And you're doing that? Come on.
Yeah.
The people who give them the diploma should take it back.
So the days of journalists like Jones P. Madeira, Raoul Pantin and these guys who would have, who took journalism seriously. Yeah.
They saw it as a profession, a badge of honor. If they made a scoop.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But that scoop had to be accurate. And I think of Horace Gordon, who was one of the best sports reporters we had. And he had sources all over. So when he was finished, he knew he had the correct story.
Right.
Because he's distilling it from all these people. Now they look at the social media and print what you see there. I don't know. Sometimes I say we're not in a good place.
Yeah.
But we're still in a better place than a lot of other people. And I think we need to, the good people of this country need to get up and stop taking the nonsense. Don't tolerate the nonsense. Let it run them. I know that some people get in run already.
Yeah.
And they win certain
Yes.
they're running them.
Yeah.
But we have to, and we need to do it systematically so they get the message, because they know they're not the brightest people. They don't take on what you tell them. Yeah. This new thing, you have to repeat something 25 times so people to understand what you're saying. Yeah. So we have to tell them 25 times.
Right. What do you think the PNM could do differently to reform itself? Assuming that reform is needed. I mean,
it's always needed. You always need to go back and look at what you're doing. We need to go back. Right now, we've started the process of revitalizing the party groups and putting them at the forefront of what they're doing. Because when you do that, you have the advantage. Those, as Dr. Williams said, you are the PR person. You contribute. You go back to the first level devotee and follow it.
Right.
Follow what he set out, the responsibilities of a party member. And teach the people, because the young people don't like you, so don't know enough about the history of the party. Yeah. So you need to go back to, we used to have party school. Yeah. So we need to go back and do some of that.
Right.
Thankfully, we have our chairman now who's committed to that.
Yes.
And starting the process. So I think we're going to rebuild, re-energize.
Right. Yeah.
Then that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Then we will become unbeatable. We are ready this time under Dr. Rowley.
Right.
I've got enough second term. That's only time. Only time.
Yes.
Since 1986.
Right.
That a party has gotten a second term.
Yes. Yes.
So once you do that right, guess what?
Yeah.
Another turn to come.
Right.
and if you look at the PNM now, and you look at the 141 candidates, there's a few older ones in there, but a whole cohort of young people.
Yes. Professionals.
Young professionals that we have to make sure that we train them.
Yeah.
So they understand. Because some people get carried away with the fact that they have a degree.
Yes.
I have a degree. Yeah, well, if you have to tell me I have a degree, it's not worth it. Not worth the paper you have.
Right.
Right?
Right.
When you talk to me, I must know that you're, where you trained.
Right.
Kind of story, right? So we'll have to get some of that, because it's inevitable that some of them will feel like that. But I'm confident that the way the party is operating now, they're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to do what we have to do to continue moving the party forward.
Right.
Because they have the ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And Dr. Early is a hard taskmaster.
Right.
But he has the welfare.
Mm.
And he's really had to fight in some cases to make sure the young people got the space. Right. And it reminds me that years ago, one of the elders in the party had to tell some of the other women,
Mm-hmm.
she is the product of PNM education. You have to use what she learned.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the lesson we all have to take.
Yeah.
We've exposed them. I mean, you know, some of the things that my son will do with my computer, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a new world.
Yeah.
So we have to give them the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get a little funny sometimes.
Right.
But the youth are the future of this country.
Right.
And the fact that with all this talk about climate change and depleting energy resources,
Mm-hmm.
we still were able to bring this country back from the brink
Yeah.
that the UNC put it on.
Yes.
Says a million words
Mm-hmm.
about where we are
Mm-hmm.
and how well
Yeah.
you've done.
Right.
And then, so if you train these young people now and send them out,
Yes.
they come in with more skills,
Mm-hmm.
more understanding,
Right.
and enough. What they have to do is get enough empathy in them,
Yeah.
because I think that has been lost along the way.
Mm.
Then we're in a good place.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is what Singapore would have done. And you know, it's interesting. Those opposed to the PNM would call Dr. Rowley a dictator. They call Mr. Manning the same thing. And these same people would envy Singapore and talk about, look where Singapore is, and Singapore was a backwater colonial outpost along with Trinidad, and they have no natural resources and so forth. One of the things that is responsible for Singapore being where they are today is because their first premier, Lee Kuan Yew, was referred to as the benevolent despot. He realized that he needed to rule with a firm hand, and there are certain things that if it is he allowed the opposition to get away with certain things, nothing would get done.
Yep. That is a fact of life.
Would you say that to some extent Dr. Williams tried to emulate what Lee Kuan Yew was doing at the time? Because when in terms of similarities in their background and
Some of it.
yeah.
Some of it. But he wasn't as looking for the correct word. Like Lee Kuan Yew. If you're spitting in the road, they
Yes.
lock you up.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of
Right.
thing. Dr. Williams was much more fatherly. And
Right. A little more
Tolerant.
conservative. Yeah. Yes.
tolerant. And maybe if he was different, we would be in a different place. But we're in a good place.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see what happens with the opposition parties now. Because you know, every sort they have to change the name and change whatever.
Yes. Coalition. When you need to beat the PNM, as they say, that's the only way you could ever beat the behemoth that is the PNM, form a coalition. But then what happens after that? The coalition falls apart, and then the PNM always has to come to the rescue. We saw it in 1991. We saw it in 2001. Again, we saw it in 2015. History speaks to that. And then there are those who don't like to hear that, but
And we're seeing it in Tobago now.
yeah. Yeah. The alternative to the PNM is chaos and
Chaos-
confusion.
chaos and confusion.
Dr. Williams. So we go to our final break for this evening, folks, and we continue the discussion with Marilyn Gordon when we come back. So stay locked and feel free for those of you who are viewing us online. You can send your questions if you have any. We're still having some challenges with respect to the phone lines, but it would be sorted out soon enough. So in the meantime, you can feel free to send your questions, and I'll post them to Ms. Gordon. So we go to that break, and when we come back, we continue the discussion.
So
Are you stressed and worried by problems? Then meet Priest Santosh G. Priest is specialized in palm, face, photo, and date of birth reading and gives solutions to problems in marriage, relationships, love, business, job, health, and removes all negativity and bad luck permanently and gives good luck and also gives lifelong protection. Home consultation is done. Call Priest Santosh on 756-8401. That's 756-8401.
Show them how we did jump up. Show them how we did free up. Crop overs are blessing. No. I'm feeling a vibe. We not outside again. To this night again. Come up down to the ground and you jump to the ground. Look at the best you can. So when we get step, push back and get on the ground. The wine you want the money wine for me. It's the way out you walking out your waist for me. Feel me so sweet, no fool. Sweet, no fool. I can tear the mark off for you. You best find you get these too. You like Molly?
It's our story. It's vibes. It's the sweetest summer festival. It's Crop Over 2023.
Green Dot continues to deliver internet connectivity to a wide range of communities in Trinidad. With our combination fiber and wireless network, you get the service you need wherever you live. Stream your favorite shows, enjoy online tuition, stay in touch with your work team, and connect with friends and family with internet service at a price you can afford. As communities continue to grow, we continue to deliver. Call 224-GDOT or visit gd.tt today. Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
Welcome back, and you're tuned into The Real Issues with yours truly, Dominic Romain. So we're in the last half hour of this evening's program on how time flies. So my guest this evening is Miss Marilyn Gordon. For those of you who may be just joining us, I know some people view us online and they may have been having some challenges with respect to picking up the program. So for those persons, yes, the guest this evening is Miss Marilyn Gordon, former MP and former government minister under the leadership of Eric Williams and then George Chambers. And we've been having a very spirited conversation, number of issues, politics related, of course, but it's good to get Miss Gordon's perspective, having from the perspective of yesteryear as opposed to what obtains in the politics today. So, Ms. Gordon, while you were off air, you had mentioned that the salary of a minister back in your time was about $8,000. Was that a lot of money back then?
Not as much as $46,000.
Right.
But it was reasonable.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the kind of financial support,
right,
that people had. You know, you had to raise funds to do things,
right,
in your constituency and that kind of thing. You know? But it was what it was, you know. And you really didn't think about the money too much. Once you pay the bills, your bills weren't big. Your mortgage wasn't $5,000.
Right.
like it is today, right?
Yes.
And things were cheaper. So you live.
Right.
And you couldn't afford to go on holidays as often as I see people going on holiday.
Right.
Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But it was a living wage.
Right.
But I sometimes wonder if the leader or the opposition doesn't feel a how collecting money for not going to parliament.
Right.
And I feel that, there should be some penalties.
Right.
If you, but I feel that about all the people who work and get paid from the national post, and they don't do the work.
Right.
I shouldn't pay them.
Right. Yeah.
We wouldn't have a problem. Everybody who was working would get a 10% each one time.
Yeah.
And we would turn the economy around.
Yes. Yes.
But that's how it is, I suppose. But people, I'm hoping. I'm not expecting necessarily, but I'm hoping that people will embrace the opportunities that the local government reform will bring.
Yeah.
And people, because among other things, if you're hiring people from inside the area, in the area, and they're doing a project in the area, as I say to the people in our community, when they come to work and you see them slacking on, you see them giving you a jerry, make a noise, call them out. Don't call the minister, call them. Yeah. So when they come back in 2 weeks' time now to repair the same thing, you draw it to their attention.
Right.
We all have to step up to the plate, man.
Yeah.
There's no point pointing your finger at somebody. We need to work. Work with what we have.
Right.
Yeah. Incidentally, I was saying today about a particular local contractor who is down in Guyana, paving.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that.
They're not like, they kill him and send him back.
Correct. And I always say, when people complain about the state of roads in our country, the least amount of blame goes to the contractor, who's the person or the entity responsible for doing the work.
Yeah.
And when they do shoddy work because they know that if this road lasts 3 years, in 3 years' time, I'm going to get another $1 million contract to pivot again. It's about them. It's about their long-term well-being, not about...
Things like that have to change. And the people who are supervising the projects on behalf of the ministries must also be held responsible.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We just have to get to a place in this country where people are held responsible and there are consequences to their actions.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to do because you have so many people who support the slide.
Yeah.
What are you making a fuss about? No, I'm making a fuss because I'm paying you well. And you're not delivering.
Yes.
In my work, all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't do your property, I don't pay you.
As it should be.
Oh, when you finish it.
Yeah. Yes.
When you finish the job, I'll pay you. Now, I'm paying you promptly.
Yes.
Once you finish the job, better do it.
Yes. But you must understand what finish means.
Yeah. I have a bad reputation about that.
Yeah. But you mentioned the word fuss, Ms. Gordon, and it always amazes me when I see or I hear citizens fussing over perhaps there is an issue in a community and some of the residents may take it upon themselves to address it. People say, but that's the government work. What is all they doing that for? Are we paying tax in this country? And why does people have to be coming out and doing this and doing that and dipping in the pocket? But it affects you.
I have one answer to give them. Exactly how much tax you pay?
Thank you.
Because the people are making the most noise about paying tax and paying a cent.
Yeah.
And they're collecting grants over there.
Thanks to this administration, there are thousands of people who were paying PAYE in 2010 to 2015 are no longer paying PAYE. And thousands others who are paying $7,500 less than they were paying between 2010 to 2015. But of course, we will not give kudos to the government for that. Right? So.
No. But, that silent majority
Mm-hmm.
do give kudos.
Yeah. Publicly though?
Not necessarily.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But they do. And when you make enough noise, they tell you, but what is your contribution to this?
Mm-hmm.
What's tax you pay?
Right.
When you mash up whatever it is, why don't you fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Why you want me to come and fix it?
Right.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I remember years ago when I was a representative and people would pass by our yard, our road,
Yeah.
and they come in a constituency meeting and they make a noise about how they sit by the member of parliament road and they cut the grass and it's always looking so good and up here thing. So I had a meeting at my house a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And they come and they stand up with their mouths open because what used to happen on Saturday was everybody would come out and cut the strip in front of you. I say, and you clean the drain in the back too.
Yes.
Everybody on our strip used to do that. And that stopped the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah? What is your street? What is around you is going to affect what happens in your place.
Correct.
So why you don't keep it clean?
Yeah. The drain running in front of your house, yes, is backed up and the corporation is supposed to deal with that. But you are being affected by the mosquitoes, the bad smell, and all it would take is probably a hoe and a shovel or whatever, and you go out and you clear the blockage. But no, because the mindset is, I pay in tax and the government's supposed to deal with that. I'm not going to
we are all members of the government.
Yes.
You're getting paid by the government.
We love to we are the employers and they are our employees and they're working for us.
It's a difficult country to run.
It is.
Yes.
The PNM would have served 30 unbroken years in governance in this country, which clearly, to my mind, is indicative of the fact that the population would have been pleased, satisfied with the delivery of service. Right?
And they also didn't buy into some of the shippiness that the opposition was doing.
Right. So what would you attribute the loss in 1986?
The first thing was that the oil revenues had dropped significantly. So you didn't have money to do what you would normally do.
Right.
And you certainly didn't have any money to spend as you come up to the election.
Right.
And then you had people making the noise about how the minister's doing that and the TFN, they're doing this, the talk. And certain groups, there was one particular group, big group, who I had the responsibility to meet with them weekly to help them along, make sure they got whatever it was. And they said they would support us. And the Wednesday before the election, one of the fellows who was really upset came to my house at 10 o'clock at night and said, we just got an instruction, you're going to vote for the NAR. As simple as that.
Right.
That was it. No, even the PNM was a different kind of organization. When we got back into office, we would have dealt with them.
Right.
Because we had helped you all along and so on and so on.
Yes.
But the PNM doesn't operate like that.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately. So people feel they could do what they want.
Right.
But there was a whole set of talk about corruption that nobody could prove. Nobody. It's not like the corruption talk in 2015 where you could see it. But I think people they haven't had Dr. Williams for 25 years, and then we got Chambers, and Chambers was more of a realist, but he was not he was not compromising
Right.
with the elites
Mm-hmm.
and the business people.
Right.
We offered, in those days, we had offered them 6%.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't taken that, Peter. And we said to them, this is all we afford to
Right.
pay. And 1 year later, they get a minus 10% on their fee.
So some 40 years later, the mindset still has not changed.
No, it hasn't changed.
Yes.
It hasn't changed. Unfortunately, it hasn't changed. So they could stick out. But I will remind people, and I think the PNM have a right to remind people that the last time it was kind of like that. Right?
Yeah.
You all throw us out
Yes.
and you lost your 10%. Yeah?
Yeah.
They didn't want 6%, they lost 10%, and you hold up.
Yes.
So feel free. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I don't think that we tell people that often enough, and we should.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is the consequence. You remember that in 2015, the government offered the public service, how much ever it was,
Yes.
but they didn't have any money to give them.
Right.
So they left it. And we had to go and borrow $5 billion to be able to pay public servants.
Yes.
They didn't remember that, you know.
No.
So
Yeah.
if you want to buy into the toy, I take the Dr. Rowley attitude. Buy it.
Yeah. Some people need to learn to learn, huh?
You have to put your finger in the wound.
Yes, yes. And you know, there's a saying, the devil is in the details. And I think what is unfortunate in Trinidad is that people listen to the rhetoric because you gravitate to what satisfies you. So you want to be upset with the PNM, you want to be upset with Rowley. So we run back to the opposition because they're the main alternative. But they're not doing their research to see, well, okay, what is the opposition offering? Because all the opposition is saying on the platform is Rowley must go, inheritance tax, property tax, and we will tell you some of our plans. But when you hear when you hear the leader of the opposition say one of their economic plans would be to cut corporation tax by 17%, right? And we see the challenges that the government currently faces with respect to revenue. With the falling oil and gas prices, right? And in fact, if they would do their research, go to the central bank website and so on, you would see that for the past, almost 8 years, that the majority of government's revenue would have come from the non-oil sector.
Yeah.
Corporate taxes, mainly. Yep. You have now the leader of the opposition saying to you, put us in office, and we will reduce corporation tax from 30% and 35% down to 18%. So you're cutting your revenue almost in half, but you're making all these grandiose promises that we will give you this, and we will fix your roads and better healthcare. But where is the money coming from? And they're not talking about that.
But you remember that was the same opposition leader.
Yes.
Who had said to people that she was going to increase the pension.
Yes. $3,000 a month at age 60.
And then she didn't remember.
So it was.
And didn't get
it was a misprint. After speaker was talking about that night after night. Yeah? Yeah.
So, but I believe people learn from their mistakes. And I also believe that the silent majority, as I said, is paying attention quietly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We don't have too long to go again, 2 weeks.
Yes.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And we should be able to bring people into the fold and get them in the next 2 weeks to understand what it is we do, what we're proposing, and get over the money.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how anybody, any sane thinking person, could vote for that coalition.
Yes.
You know?
That collision. That's just what it is.
I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the interesting thing, I find people who I talk to, I'm not out in the road much. The people that I talk to, very clear, you know.
Yes.
I mean, this morning I traveled to San Fernando with one of those taxis.
Right.
But you know, not a route taxi.
Right. Right.
And I was listening to that young man speaking, and I thought, okay. So I said to him, I said, how come you talking like that? And he said, you think I stupid? They think, and he's talking about the opposite. He said, they think people stupid, you know. You look at all that mess they make in there, so, and you come to tell me I must vote for you?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I suspect there are quite a few people like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're keeping quiet, they're not making any fuss. They don't go, they'll vote.
Right.
Problem is to get some of the people out to vote.
Yeah.
But I think the opposition is helping to make people,
Yeah.
from the reports I am getting,
Right.
people are now sitting up and saying, hey, you can't afford to take no chances, you know. These people crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We have work to do.
Yes. And the work doesn't stop on August 14th. It continues because we have a general election.
No, but it will never stop.
Yeah.
That's the point. It will never stop.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why the PNM stayed in office for so long.
Yeah.
Because you worked continuously. You made sure your community was in order.
Yeah.
You could tell if somebody want to make a row and so on, we could fix it. Or you let them make the row, well, do what you want to.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We have to be a little bit more strategic about that.
Yes.
And stop letting people push us around.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I see that we started
Yeah.
pushback.
Yeah. But I think a critical element in that whole continuing work is that the party needs to ensure that for those candidates who will not be successful, that we find a way to incorporate them, that we don't just let them fall by the wayside and then they become disillusioned and you know. Yeah.
That we have to do.
Yeah.
That is one of the weaknesses. We have to do that.
Yeah.
But I think we're in a better place than we were last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's building. It will come up.
Yeah.
And people will be. If we do the right thing in the next 2 weeks, we'll get them to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we will teach the opposition a lesson.
Right.
Hopefully they won't forget it this time. Well,
I'm banking on that. I think that the main thing that has to happen on August 14th is to bring out the people. The PNM, I think, has the support. They have the votes. We just need to ensure that those votes are cast.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And those people that I am talking to who work in understand that. You know? So, we'll see.
Yes. And even in the traditional PNM seats, what they consider to be safe districts, we
have no safe districts.
Right. Nothing is safe.
We always, I always operate like that.
Right.
Yeah. They have particular pockets.
Yes.
That I know, okay, I can get, because I will work out the statistics.
Right.
Using the statistics and work out a map. So I know I have to get this in here.
Yes.
I know where I have to target and that kind of thing. And some of the young people that I've worked with, learning the lessons.
Right.
How you win an election.
And we're not taking any vote for granted because the THA election, the last THA election, a prominent example where you had persons like Ansel Dennis who would have lost by 4 votes.
Yeah.
I'm certain there were PNM persons who could have gone out, should have gone out, didn't go out, and would have cost a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you lose an election by less than a maxi, a big maxi,
yes,
you go playing the fool.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the Tobago experience is with all of us. So,
Yes.
and I'm surprised actually that people not referencing the Tobago experience on the trail.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you warn people. This is what they did. And when I say I'm not going to go to Tobago, they said, oh, on the Trinidad, and so Tobago, the time so you make all of us suffer for it, and so we talk to Pali.
Yes.
If you tell me I not wanted you, where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll stay in Trinidad.
Yeah.
They have nice little places in Trinidad they
Of
can
course.
go,
Of course.
And the local tourist places will be very happy
Yes.
to see you
Of course, yeah.
and to take your money from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and as I always say, your vote is non-refundable. So if you're displeased 6 months from now with the choice you made, you can't go back to the EBC and say, well, I want back my vote. I made a mistake. No, you have to live with it for 4 years in the case of local government and 5 for the general.
Yep.
Yeah. Ms. Gordon, it was such a pleasure speaking with you this evening. How that time just flew.
Yeah, I know. I quite enjoyed talking with you.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of the younger people have been asking questions and asking me to speak about it,
Right.
which is why I have started to speak now.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to be quiet and don't say too much. But it's important for us to know our history.
Yes.
And to know what is possible, how we got here,
Yeah.
and how we could continue the journey.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And the PNM certainly needs to make use of folks like yourself, Rudy Ferreira, Ashton Ford, and these guys who have a wealth of knowledge. And
we do it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be speaking 4 or 5 times.
Right.
In every 2 months or so. But I decided that I'm going to setting up my study.
Right.
With a camera and everything, and record it.
Right.
And send it.
Yes.
the value of virtue.
Yes.
Because it's difficult to sit and write for me.
Right.
I have hardly ever written a whole speech. I work in notes.
Right.
So when people tell me, but you must write. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I'll record it.
The power of mass media, that's what it's there for. And let us use it. Folks, we are out of time, but certainly not out of things to see. Again, we want to thank you all for tuning in this evening. I certainly enjoyed this evening's conversation. Not that I didn't enjoy the others, but there's a special tinge this evening, so we were able to clear up some of the misconceptions. And Ms. Gordon, I'm extending an open invitation to you to come back. Once you sit in this seat, you have to come back at some point in time because there's always more to talk about.
Okay.
Yes? Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't think we would have a program on Tuesday. Tuesday, of course, being Emancipation Day. And yes, it's a holiday. And so I know persons would be out and about doing different things. Be a lot of activities on that day. So we just confirm that. And but we'll see how that goes. So if you don't say us, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Emancipation holiday. And we will be back, God's willing, next week, Wednesday, where we will have another guest in studio and we'll continue to discuss the issues, the real issues that are affecting the citizens of this country. And hopefully we'll be able to organize so that we can start back taking calls so that you can have your say on the program. So again, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and God's willing, next week.
Okay.